Toxic masculinity, I think, is toxic to men. The concept of toxic masculinity is toxic to men. I think it puts men in a box. It separates men and women away from each other. It makes us less effective as communicators, as in relationships, as friends even. I think to blame everything on toxic masculinity puts men in a box, which I think is wildly unfair because everyone has their own capacity for greatness and their own capacity for evil, and it doesn't base on our gender. And I think that to say that all men are toxic, I know, for example, at my university that I went to, they told that they asked the men to participate less, right? Because they were saying so the women could participate more. And I thought, well, I can participate with men. That is teaching me that I can't handle participating with men, which I think is much more toxic to separate us out. It makes us ineffective and it makes us scared. And that's not how we're supposed to be behaving, especially here in America when we have so many things that we can be celebrating. We don't have to be afraid. We don't have to be afraid of each other.
I think it's a leftist social construct. The radical left loves talking about toxic masculinity as it applies to the patriarchy, which is in their eyes white men, okay? But they never want to address the most toxic form of toxic masculinity or toxic patriarchy, which is radical Islam, okay? And the way that women and anybody who isn't a practicing Muslim man is treated under Islam. And so when you're talking about, sanctioning the beating of your wife, treating women as less than, right? Having less rights than animals, tossing gays off of roofs, okay? Practicing female genital mutilation. Okay, that's what you call toxic masculinity.
Toxic masculinity. So I like manly men. I'm that kind of girl. I listen to country music. I like my men to be manly, It may be, not for everybody, but at the same time, I don't feel like, I think there is kind of a war going on men right now, that they don't deserve it. So, I don't know. That's a good question.
It doesn't exist. Masculinity is just men being men and knowing it. Since when was that ever a bad thing? The Democrats have turned everything into gray. I'm a firm believer in that things are black and white. There are absolutes, there's absolute men, there's absolute women, no in-betweens, sorry.
Now, what are your feelings about toxic masculinity? Obviously, I have the hat on, it's beginning some attention, it's walking around. This is obviously known by feminists, they scream it at men and fathers today. Yeah. How do you feel about toxic masculinity and being 100% toxic?
I think that toxic men that I've seen were raised by single mothers because they don't know how to be men. My husband and I are raising a little boy. He's 5 years old, and I'm raising him to be a man. To be a man.
How dare you? You're radical.
I know. So my lady's saying I'm so proud. He's the youngest 5-year-old to ever get a yellow belt in karate, and because it's okay to be a man. And I want to raise a man. I don't want to raise. I'm not raising a little girl. I'm not raising a man that has to worry about his role in society. He will know. A good man knows what his role in society should be. The problem is we don't have men raising men. Yeah. We have, again, single moms raising men, or we have men who bought the feminist lie, and they're raising deferential citizens.